Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Hiking Fools, guiding you through the trails of Glacier National Park. And once in a while, we step off trail to talk about other interesting things in the park. And in this part two, we are talking about Lake McDonald Lodge and so much history. Just a wonderful place to be, to stay, to visit, to hang out. I mean, just if you even go up and spend some time in the lobby and look around at the artwork and the taxidermy and the construction of the place, it's amazing. And in part one, we left off talking a little bit about Charlie Russell and his artwork and, his presence in this part of the park.
Yeah, Charlie Russell, the famed cowboy artist of the West, he had his summer home built in 1908 at the foot of Lake McDonald in Apgar, and he called the cabin Bullhead Lodge after the buffalo skull. That was kind of his trademark during that time.
Oh, right. It's on all of his signature on his paintings or something like that.
Yeah. So in 1916... Charlie Russell had his studio built as well. And the studio with its bark door and, the flat rock steps, it's still standing today. It's not in the greatest shape, but it's still there.
That's cool. So that was even before the park was established as a national park, even before, the Lake McDonald property started to be developed. He was there.
Yes, which is really, really cool. And he was also not only a super talented artist, but also quite the storyteller. So there's some stories out there too. You'll have to dig into that a little bit deeper. So I just want to bring us back in. So you've just entered the lobby of Lake McDonald Lodge. There's something in there that really draws your eyes in immediately, and it's the lanterns, right? Everybody sees it. It's one of the first things you see, these bright yellow lanterns. They're just beautiful. They're not the original.
Hanging from the ceiling, they almost look like a lampshade, right?
Yes. So they're replicas based on the 1927 designs that were created by the Kenai, the Blood Indians of Alberta. And they were hung in the Prince of Wales Hotel up there in Canada. So the originals were moved to Lake McDonald in 1960, but the originals were replaced with replicas in 1982 by artist Kay Storms. We have a little bit of story going with the lampshades.
Absolutely, yeah. When Sarah and I were both working in the gift shop in Lake McDonald Lodge, just off the lobby there. Great little place. You can get actually some fine jewelry, some sapphire jewelry, and a bunch of art. I remember the King Kukas; those were terrific. Yeah. Huckleberry. It just the aroma of huckleberry the moment you step in there. Huckleberry products everywhere. But we were salespeople, let's say, at that gift shop, and pieces of the original lanterns, lampshades, were being sold. And Sarah, my nice young friend Sarah at the time, sold a piece of that too. It was expensive, and it was what a keepsake. But it was a big deal. I remember our sales managers say, Sarah, good job. And I was a little jealous.
I feel like it wasn't just me. I feel like someone else that we worked with in the gift shop. And it was so long ago, I can't remember. But I feel like it wasn't just me. I feel like it was a team effort in selling that. But I didn't realize then what I do now, how amazing that was for someone to own a piece of the original lanterns.
Absolutely,
because
piece of history, yeah.
Yes, the pictographs on the lampshades tell stories from the lives of the Native Americans during the early 1900s. So it's pretty special to have a piece of that. So not only did Charlie Russell get his name carved into something in Lake McDonald, but so did Robbie Lucky. And we had the pleasure of knowing Robbie Lucky. He's no longer with us, unfortunately. But he really made an impact in Glacier Park, especially Lake McDonald area.
Sure, and next to the dining room is Lucky's Lounge, a nice little classy bar.
Yes,
that you can also overlook the lake, get some bar food type thing. So it's a little less formal.
He was quite the storyteller. He was a Jammer bus driver in the beginning, and he still did from time to time. But he ended up being he started working in the park in 2001, and he ended up being a supervisor for the Jammer drivers. And he really helped out in the training of all the Jammer drivers. He would come in and just fill their heads with all sorts of awesome information and also some stories that you were always questioned.
Oh, he could spin a yarn.
I just remember him cornering me in the lodge sometimes, or just outside, or wherever we worked there. I worked with him 2 summers, just spinning a tale. And then he'd look at you with a serious face, and then he'd chuckle and walk off. And I remember he was always in shorts.
You were left wondering if whether it was true.
And cowboy boots. Yes. Did that really happen? I don't know. But the ambiance around him, it was just, I loved being around him. He was just this really, really cool guy. He also started this tradition of singing the Star Spangled Banner as the first log of the season was brought in by the bellman and lit in that beautiful fireplace. And at the end of the season, the log, all of us employees would gather after the lodge was closed. We didn't have any more guests. They would haul that log, which was huge, right? Still smoldering, and we would chuck it in the lake. And he started that too. So traditions awesome. That I hope are still going on today.
We'll have to check it out deal. When we get older. I swear we're gonna work another summer in the park.
Maybe after retirement. Huh?
Yeah.
But he was not only a storyteller in the park, but he lived in Havre, and he had a column in a newspaper there. And he told a lot of stories, even up until the last days there. He always had something to talk about and something to say. And we touched on the animal mounts in part 1, the taxidermy that's hung in there. So in the 1960s, some of them were stolen, and Robbie Lucky from his private collection donated 10 mounts. And some of those are still hung in the lodge today.
What a guy. There's a terrific perspective from up on the balcony in Lake McDonald. You and I used to play cards and look down on the lobby, all the activity, and the taxidermy is a little bit closer, and it's just got a great feel up there too, to kind of immerse yourself in what's going on in the lodge, but also be removed from it a little bit. We spent I feel like a lot of hours getting to know each other and just playing some cards up on that balcony.
Yeah, I love looking around at the guests who have a glass of wine and they've either position themselves in those comfy chairs on the second level or in the ground floor in front of the fireplace. But you also have chairs that face the lake under a balcony just outside the back front doors, I should say. It's the front.
Toward the lake, coveted positions of, just sitting there on like an Adirondack chair, looking over the lake. And you're right, they've got a glass in their hand from Lucky's Lounge.
Yeah, and as employees, we weren't allowed to sit out there. It was for guests. And the same with the lobby. Only. We weren't allowed to, but sometimes we'd come back from a hike and we were just chilled if it was raining or whatever, and we just kind of take our uniform off and pretend like we were hikers that just came off the trail, not employees, and snuggle up as close to the fire, because that was another coveted spot too. They have chairs like right in, the indent where the fireplace sits. But yeah, so many great memories there. And this whole complex. So if you stay at Lake McDonald Lodge, you have the main lodge itself. There's also cabins that were built. There's 14 of them, 13 you can stay in. Cabin 10 is where we put all the laundry. My first summer, I was 2 weeks, worked for housekeeping, and I cleaned all these areas, the motel, the cabins, and inside the lodge as well. And then I became assistant manager. So I kind of managed all of that, but it was kind of cool to be able to see inside all these areas. And then you have the motel. There's 2 buildings in the motel that's located behind the camp store, which is a little further on in the complex. And then you have bathrooms, and then the famous Jammer Joe's restaurant where we would get ice cream and some of the best pizza. I know things have changed now that it is Xanterra owned.
Now, some of the best pizza, anything you eat after a hike, like up to Mount Brown Lookout, is some of the best, whatever you had. But for sure, some Huckleberry ice cream after that is always perfect. Those motels that you mentioned, not to scare anybody away, but I feel like a black bear was around that area. You can see a black bear on this complex fairly often. I feel like they're always kind of coming in. There's a lot of activity. Eventually they're out of there. But do you remember seeing black bear?
Actually, now that you say that, so Dwayne, when we worked there, he was in charge of the maintenance. And we woke up one morning and some of the girls' dorms, like employee dorms, are right there in the backside of the cabins. And we woke up to find bear scat full of apple seeds all around the dorms. And he was out there really irritated, just shoveling that off. Dwayne, we love you.
Often irritated.
We hope you're listening. And Yes, absolutely. We had, grizzlies that would come through, and, we were really good about keeping the whole complex clean, of course, but they passed through. This is their area. And I just remember behind Jammer Joe's more than once hearing of stories of seeing grizzlies go behind there by the dumpsters and stuff. So it's really important that we all clean up after ourselves. If you're an employee, if you're, a guest in the park, because they are always passing through.
So a lot of this lodge is connected to the great people, right, Sarah? I mean, the people that started it, the people whose presence is still there, the people that work there every summer, and the people. That's such a big part of the story. And we are going to take a short break, but make sure you stay tuned. We're going to talk a little bit more about how to stay here. What you need to do, the property. How to get yourself into this experience. So we're going to take a short break, and we've got another segment coming right up.
You wouldn't start a 10-mile hike without a map, and you shouldn't manage your money without a plan. You can check out our excellent deposit rates at our website, freedombankmt.com. At Freedom Bank, we'll help you chart a course for success with personalized guidance and technology that works anywhere from Polebridge to Big Fork. Freedom Bank, your trail guide to financial success. Member FDIC.
Welcome back, everyone. We're the Hiking Fools, and talking about such a special place like McDonald. You've been with us this far. Keep listening. We've got a couple of great stories and some more information about what goes on at their property and how you can stay there.
Yeah, well, first I just want to back up a touch. So it was called the McDonald Hotel is kind of where we left off. But in 1931, the Park Service acquired the hotel and they named it Lake McDonald Lodge. And I had mentioned before about the flood in the 60s. So that happened in 1964. There was a lot of damage. The original fireplace in Charlie's Fireside Dining had to be removed and replaced. But this lodge has gone through a few different renovations. There was a big one in 1988 and 89, and then in 2017, those big beams, those big cedar beams had to be replaced. They were kind of rotting. They're perfect replicas, but they're not from Glacier. They're from Idaho. Yeah. And the lodge became a historic landmark in 1987, so that's pretty cool. So if you stay here, there's the hotel, like we said, the cabins, the motel, and then we also have some of those dorms that we stayed in. They are now hostels. So we have a total of
right around 100 rooms, I think, total between all of the properties on the complex.
Yep. And if you want to book a stay here, isn't it well?
Oh, you've got to plan, 13 months in advance is when the reservation system starts. And you reserve through Glacier National Park Lodges, which is Xanterra, the concessionaire of the park. But it's hard to think about. Sometimes we consider staying, but it's so hard to get these. And, let's let the visitors stay there. Sarah and I always kind of struggle with, should we stay there? It'd be such a wonderful place to be together, but we also have the privilege of living close by. So we go in, experience it all day long, enjoy everything about it, and then head home. But if you're looking to stay, you've got to think ahead.
Yeah, and when we worked there, we lived on the complex. We lived on site too, which was really, really cool. And we have so many stories. Margie Nagel, a shout out to her, and rest in peace, Margie. When we worked there, she would often make it to where we would have 2 days off in a row. So as employees at the time, I don't know what the rules are now, we could stay at any of the employee dorms in the park.
That's right. Any of the employee housing at any of the locations.
The lodges, And one of the times we went up to Prince of Wales and we stayed there and got to know some of the employees up there. They all spoke French. We really did feel like we were in a different country. And then we did a really cool hike and came back. We went up there several times, but I just remember just really being immersed in all these lodges because we were able to work there, and that was really cool. And my second summer is when I met you, Josh, and I worked in the gift shop, and we would periodically...
Bonjour, mon ami, c'est bon.
And you were supposed to work at Many Glacier Hotel, but you were here at Lake McDonald first because
I came early. Go West, young man was me. I packed up the car, sold everything I had, drove from Wisconsin and showed up ready to go to Many Glacier, but Sarah was at the Lake McDonald Lodge gift shop, and so that is where I stayed.
Yeah, you were there, and you were, Many Glacier didn't open for another couple weeks, so.
I came so early. I was just excited. I'm like, I'm going. It's May. It's late May, but I'm just going to show up.
Margie put you to work, and then we met, but periodically we'd hear of someone famous that would come through. So my first summer, Barbara Bush came through in Apgar, and she took a jammer ride. I did not see her, but Meatloaf stayed at Lake McDonald Lodge, and I did get to meet him. What is he saying?
I don't know. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So it's that was a weird one.
Yeah.
I think he bought it like a robe of some sort.
I sold it to him.
Look at
Shout
you
out to him.
selling it all.
But Margie and I were in the gift shop. It was in the evening, and it was just her and I, and it was pretty slow. And he came in and he purchased something, and then we asked him to sing to us. And of course, he did.
Yeah, it's amazing. How many famous people, notable figures have come, and I think they mostly intend to stay low profile. But it's such a place that everybody wants to check it out.
Yeah, usually it was the front desk people who knew more than all of us did. So we try to, who's here? We knew things were on lockdown a little bit. But I also, if you stay here, there's a boat tour you can take.
Oh, yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah, you have the Desmet. It's a 57-foot cedar planked boat with an oak frame. And it sails out on the 500-foot deep Lake McDonald. And if you take this boat tour, the boat crew, they tell some amazing stories and give you some rich history. And so it's definitely worth it to take that. But this boat was built in 6 weeks by Captain J.W. Swanson in 1930. And it was named after a Jesuit missionary, Pierre Desmet. Yes. Okay. This boat holds 70 passengers, and it has never left Lake McDonald. Huh. So it rests in the wintertime over at the foot of the lake, over in the Fish Creek area. And it's the largest boat in the Glacier Park Boat Company fleet. And it's been going since 1938. So
now that we've ridden a few times, that's a fun time.
Yeah, it was actually added to the National Register of Historic Places in 2017. So, yeah, a really cool thing to do if you're staying there.
Well, there's a few activities, just some great activities, whatever your pleasure. Take a boat ride on the lake. There's horseback riding across the road, a crowd there. And, of course, evening ranger-led programs happen right there. So there's a lot to do, a lot to take in if you want even more of the history and some of the stories. And there's also a camp store, as you mentioned, kind of general needs. So it's a great place you can get just about everything. You can stay there. You can have fun there. You can get what you need as far as supplies there if you want to head out on a hike or a longer journey. Lake McDonald Lodge area is just terrific.
Yeah, and you also have Apgar not too far away. There's a lot of trails that leave from the Lake McDonald complex. You've got we've talked about that actually.
Sure,
the Sperry Trail, the Mount Brown Trail, Snyder
Lakes,
yep. Fish Lake. We got a lot of things there. You can go around the head of the lake. There's the ranger station at the head of the lake. You can ask questions there. You also have Trout Lake just across the way there that goes up and over Howe Ridge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of trails. Yep. Detailed in another episode. And the lodge is generally open May through September, depending upon weather. So it's not a super tight window, but you do have to pay attention to when you're coming, when you want to come, and it can close. So right around there, as I mentioned, our anniversary, end of September, and that's usually about the last weekend that the lodge is open. But Sarah, before the lodge closes for the season, don't forget, to get in there and have a meal. The Charlie Russell's Fireside Dining Room is fine dining. It's absolutely incredible. The things on the menu, you've got bison meatloaf and huckleberry cocktails, and you can get a burger if you want. It's a fantastic place to have some food. And Lucky's Lounge, as I mentioned, has a little bit. A fare that you can try too.
I love their bison burgers. Just wanted to put that out there. But don't get turned away if Josh mentioned fine dining. We've come fresh off the trail, and ate in Charlie Russell's dining room.
Yeah,
It's fine.
Charlie Russell
No
he'd be
judgment.
okay with it.
No judgment.
It's a nice place, but the nature of the area allows anybody in, and we'd recommend that for sure.
Yeah, get a window seat there. You can overlook the lake, and they usually have the windows cracked a little bit and got fresh air and bird sounds. And
Yeah, maybe
the wait
we'll see you
staff,
there.
they do a great job. You know, the cooks, they do awesome too. But if you're into candy bars, go to the camp store. They got sandwiches, they got candy bars, and they also have, it's a little gift shop too.
Yeah, pick up a 6-pack of Trout Slayer and enjoy yourself. Play some cribbage. But we hope you've learned enough about Lake McDonald Lodge to really get in and explore. We've provided you a good introduction, some of the history behind it all the way up to today. But check it out for yourself, and we hope you're really interested and kind of fascinated by this as much as we are. We've enjoyed having you. Check out our Instagram page at Hiking Fools MT to see some great photos of this area. Tune in next time. Check out more episodes online. Don't forget part 1. And remember to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Hiking Fools, encouraging you to always go